Welcome once again to This Week in the NFL. I'm Kendall Capps.
And I'm Andrew Williamson.
Oh, here we are. It's Super Bowl week, only a few days away.
Pretty excited. How about you?
Absolutely. This is what we wait for all year long. Everyone plays all season long for this moment to get to this stage.
Colts Saints, Super Bowl 44 coming at you Sunday. Who do you got? What's the breakdown? We've been here all year waiting for this.
Well, in a way, this is what a lot of people were hoping to see. Both teams were 13-0. The Colts stretched it out to 14, but it was the two teams that everyone thought would probably be here to see, and we're finally going to get to see this dream matchup with these two amazing offenses, and what they do is it should be electrifying.
Well, I'm very excited. I like both of these teams' offenses. Obviously, are going to be the main story with Peyton Manning and Drew Brees, and we'll get to that in a minute. But I really like the way these defenses are playing. The Colts play this bend-don't-break style defense where they've given up very few rushing yards in the playoffs, very few scores. And the Saints playing this opportunistic defense that makes you pay for any mistake you make, usually with 7 points, or at least if they don't, then the offense comes.
Yeah, they'll put you in position and then the offense turns it into 7 real quickly. Absolutely. I think maybe one of the biggest stories, I know you think it might not have as big of a factor, but it certainly must be talked about. It is a factor of the game. It's the Dwight Freeney injury that he suffered with 2 minutes left in the game against the Jets 2 weeks ago. They said it's a 3rd-degree strain, which means the tendon is more than 50% torn, and it's on his right ankle. That's his cutting ankle to make that move, the spin move to go to the inside. As a dominant pass rusher, that really affects what he can do on the field. I'm sure they're going to shoot him up with some drugs. He's going to try to go, but realistically, how much can he really give them?
See, from the Colts angle, I'm less worried about Dwight Freeney than I am about Powers and Jennings in the backside of that Colts defense. Because I don't think the Colts have seen a team that can spread the field like the Saints have. And obviously they haven't in the playoffs as they've got to play Baltimore and the Jets, two running-oriented teams. So,
well, they did see one team like that, and they gave up 476.5 yards of offense to the New England Patriots at home.
Very true. But this is a different
even more explosive
squad.
Even more explosive.
I mean, really could do, and that's the thing, is will that explosive defense? I think Freeney really, he's injured. I personally think he'll tape it up. He's a third-down player. He's gonna be probably 75% of himself, and I think that may be fine for the Colts. But what they need to find is the plays in that secondary, the interceptions and tipped passes, to keep that Brees having to look twice before he throws. Because if it turns into a thing where he's got 3 seconds and he's popping short throws all over the place, the Colts are going to be in trouble.
Well, but there is a problem, though. If you look at the teams that have slowed down this New Orleans offense, that game against Dallas on the Saturday night, ending their perfect regular season, the game last weekend against Minnesota, when they only had 257 yards of offense, they played teams that were able to get pressure with their down 4. Now, if Rudy can't go, or if he's not 100% and can't apply much pressure on that end, which, by the way, their left tackle, I'm sure he's breathing a big sigh of relief right now. Now they can double Mathis on the other side, and if you give Brees time to throw the ball, he's going to pick you apart the way Manning will and always does.
Right, and the thing is I see that equally on the Saints side, the problem that they're going to have to adjust with is this is a team that's used to coming with blitzes.
Yes.
They're used to confusing quarterbacks. They're used to throwing quarterbacks off their game. Well, you can't confuse Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
You might confuse him for a play or for a quarter, but eventually you need to keep things switching up, and you need to be. They need to bring the wood like they did in the first 2 weeks. Come to hit
if I'm
teach
Greg
those
Williams,
Colts receivers not to go over the middle.
I like that point. If I'm Greg Williams, I come up with a 4-quarter game plan. I come in first quarter, maybe I'm blitzing, I'm bringing safeties, I'm bringing corners. Second quarter, I drop back in coverage and play zone. And if you just line up there and throw 6-7 guys at him every time, he's going to figure it out and he's going to pick you apart easily.
Yeah, it's, with both of these teams, that's what we're getting this year. The 2 number 1 seeds is pick your poison. You've got, it's hard. Personally, I like the way Peyton's playing a little more than I like the way Brees is playing. I like the way the Colts have been rolling a little more than the way the Saints. Now, is that I couldn't really tell you who I think that holds up better for, because everything's null and void.
You never know. It's one game. That's what's great about the NFL. No matter how you've been playing, it's always one game. Unlike other sports, it's who shows up that day and plays better that day. And that's what remains to be seen. On the other side of the ball, obviously, the Saints, their defense, they rely on getting those turnovers. They were second in the NFL with 39 takeaways, 1 behind Green Bay for the league lead. So even if they can't get to them all the time, if that secondary of linebackers can get some big plays, get some turnovers, put their offense with a short field, they should be able to take advantage of that, and that's the game I think they need to play. I think for the Saints to win this game, they're going to need to be able to get some big plays on defense and get back to what they were good at to start the season. 2/3 of the way through the year, they were a top 5 rushing attack on the ground. Everybody thought of that Breeze and that great passing attack, but they were a great running attack with the 3-headed monster. Since then, they've gone away from the running game, and they've struggled on offense because of that. I think they need to get back and get some type of running game going in this game. Otherwise, you could see Indy pull away as the game goes along.
And also in this big game that the Colts have been to before and the Saints haven't, getting the running game going early might get the Saints in that offensive groove where they can. But if they come out with an interception or some bad passes and watch you don't want the game. Neither of these teams wants to see the other one jump out ahead because it can get away from you.
Yes, absolutely.
And we've seen Peyton Manning take control of a Super Bowl, or Drew Brees take control of playoff games. Mm-hmm. Either one could have its way. Yeah. And I think we could be looking at one of the highest scoring Super Bowls we've seen in a while.
Of all time, possibly. So what do you see ultimately coming out of the game then?
Well, one last thing I want to say is I think the most important part to watch for in this game is the end of the second half. These teams are number 1 and number 2 in points scored in the last 2 minutes of the half.
After the AFC title game, the Colts actually ended up tying the Saints.
Oh, so it's even.
So it's dead even. Both teams have exactly 79 points in the final.
That'll be a great barometer because these teams score so much going into the second half. We're never really going to know what may come. Yeah. But I think whichever team can kind of take control going into the second half, if they can ride that momentum. Well, right now, I'm going to take the team I've stuck with all year. I'm going to take the Colts. I'm going to take them by 3 in a slim game, and it wouldn't surprise me at all to see the Saints win. But to me, 2 weeks ago, the Colts had the look of a team whose work wasn't finished yet, and the Saints looked like a team that had accomplished everything.
They certainly did. They were certainly celebrating a little bit more than you would like to see if you were a Saints fan at the end of that game.
And understandably, they've never been to
a Super Bowl. There, and everything that the city has gone through for them to be able to play at home, to win the way they did in an overtime game against a great team. Certainly, it was great for the team, for the city. Luckily for them, there's the 2-week break that you have instead of 1 week. It allows you time to refocus, which I imagine that they're going to do. I think that this is going to be a tight game throughout. Both offenses are going to move the ball. I don't see either defense really applying the type of pressure that's needed to slow the other offense down. And I see a very close game going into the fourth. I think Peyton might get the ball with 6 minutes, drive his team down, score what would be the game-winning touchdown. But then the Saints actually go down and score.
You're taking the Saints.
I am. I like the Saints 35-31 in a great finish.
Maybe just pick the Saints in the since Super Bowl we've ever seen. Since last year, anyways.
Yes, well, on paper, you could argue that this, on paper, is the best Super Bowl ever. 2 of the most explosive offenses.
I'd have to say, if it can live up to the last few Super Bowls we've got to watch, I'll be plenty satisfied.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, that's going to do it for this week in the NFL. For all things sports, you can log on to AmericanSportsDaily.blogspot.com. Hope you enjoy the Super Bowl, and you can catch us here again next year.
Take it.